everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you are having a great Saturday and a great weekend so far. It's a holiday weekend, and everybody's had a long weekend. So I know everybody's having a great one there. But I want to thank you. My name is Don Terrell for giving me a little bit of your time today. I want to thank you for joining me 3 p.m. Central Standard Time for another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that, by now, I'm just crazy about. And obviously, you know the drill. Hop into the comments, say, hey, where you're tuning in from, while I make sure that we are broadcasting like we're supposed to be broadcasting. I can see we're broadcasting on Facebook, so that's always good, for sure. As much trouble as I have. Like I said, I think LinkedIn has changed their live streaming. I can't see it on my banner anymore. Like I said, your live streams used to show up on your banner, but they don't show up on your banner. So I got to go to the event to make sure that it's live streaming. But if you hop into the comments and say, hey, and you happen to be tuning in from LinkedIn, then I'll know it's streaming from LinkedIn. But it looks like it's going from LinkedIn. Let me make sure. Yep, it's going from LinkedIn. So I'm happy about that. And, YouTube. Like I said, we're here each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, live to the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, the Facebook group, and the website for the show. You can check out the live broadcast there. Again, I highly recommend that you get plugged into the Facebook group community, facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motion. Get plugged in, share a lot of industry news, have a lot of great conversations, and just all around fun. So definitely want you to get plugged in there as well. You can follow us or, share our Instagram. We are on Instagram, The Color of Motion. Definitely follow us. We share like some industry or, share a lot of industry news there as well, short clips. But we're definitely looking to grow it. But I do always encourage everybody to hop on over to the YouTube channel. That's where I want the main crux of everybody to be watching it from, because they can all interact and see each other's posts and conversations. So definitely always appreciate everybody. Like I say, hop on over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Don Terrell. There you can check out all the other past great guests that we've had on the show. And if you subscribe, hit the bell notification, you'll be notified of when the show goes live and when great episodes go up on the channel as well. So definitely once you get plugged in at one of those places as well. Miss Regina, appreciate you tuning in, streaming from LinkedIn. I appreciate that. A LinkedIn viewer as well. But I do always, like I said, encourage you to get plugged into the other channels as well. But I want to thank you for that. Want to give a big shout out, obviously, to today's sponsor for today's episode, for sure, Restream. They are the platform that I use to multi-stream out to all my channels. So if you are live stream, or you don't have to live stream, you can use Restream for recording as well. But if you are a live streamer, you are streaming out to multiple channels, then it's a great platform to use to manage all the other channels that you're streaming out to as well. So definitely check out Restream. The link will be in the show notes to where you can connect with them for sure. So appreciate Restream for supporting this channel as well. What else? Like I said, this is our last episode before we take a short hiatus break. So I appreciate everybody coming in, stopping by for this last, episode that we're doing. it always goes by so quick. I can't imagine how I did it the first 2 years, doing it straight through, no breaks or anything like that. But the hiatuses are definitely something that's needed. And as I look to level up this show, as we're going into season 5, like I said, we got one more hiatus break in fourth quarter before next year, where we're going into 5th season. I can't believe that we've been doing this for 5 years. So can't thank you enough for the viewers for hanging in and sticking with me, and obviously for my friends that come on and share on the show, for them sticking with me as well. But 5 years is a long time, but definitely looking to see how we can make this even better. With that said, definitely the store is open. Please hop on over there, pick you up something nice. We have a lot of great shirts, hoodies, mugs, constantly putting stuff in there. My only request is that if you do pick up something, take a picture of yourself and share it with us so that we can share it on the channel and share it on all our social channels as well. Share it on the show and the social channels as well. So definitely you can pick up something nice. I got my little, color of motion gear on, so definitely want to see everybody else with theirs on as well. All right. Well, that was a mouthful there. Like I said, I probably am going to maybe do a little impromptu live or update live during the hiatus, just on things I got planned for the show moving forward. But for now, I think we're, almost about ready to get going with this. I hope you're looking forward to this episode as much as I have. Super looking forward to sitting down with a great guy that has worked on some amazing stuff. So I think, without further ado, we can get this train on the tracks. What do you say? Huh? Wow, we are back. We are back and ready to get this show on the road. Mr. Limbert, appreciate you stopping by there, brother, and checking out the show and supporting our next guest there. I know, like you said, you had nothing but high praises. So that's, like I said, definitely why I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking more. And hopefully I can get through this. His resume is extensive for sure. But my next guest, he is originally from San Diego, California. However, after packing his bags and moving to Dallas at the tender age of 7, he considers himself a proud Texan. From a young age, he has been enamored with cartoons and animation in general and has always aspired to make his own movies. Now he's doing just that and couldn't be happier. He graduated from the Art Institute of Dallas, kind of something what we have in common. I graduated from the Art Institute of Houston, something we're going to talk about. In 1998 with a degree in computer animation. Shortly after graduating, he had the opportunity to work as a storyboard and layout artist on the Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius television series, a Nickelodeon property being produced at DNA Productions in Dallas. He then went on to work on his first feature film, The Ant Bully, if you remember that, starring Nicolas Cage and Julia Roberts. He was also a story artist on Nickelodeon's Emmy Award winning series, Black Back at the Barnyard. Back at the Barnyard. Back at the Barnyard. His professional adventures continued as he left animation for a short time to work at HKS Architecture. His firm's clients list included the Ritz-Carlton, the Dallas Cowboys, Phoenix Children's Hospital, the W Hotel, and the Indianapolis Colts. Seems like a lot of corporate stuff. Missing the uniquely creative environment of an animated studio, he returned to his lifelong passion by joining Real Effects Creative Studios in 2009 as a storyboard and 3D layout artist. He worked as part of the international storyboard team on Real Effects' second feature film, The Book of Life, produced by Guillermo del Toro. And if you've seen Guillermo's work, you know it's great work. He's worked on an array of creative projects at Real Effects, including Open Season 2, Ugly Dolls, Rumble, and Scoob 2 feature films. Perhaps most exciting, he is currently directing his own live-action short film and a comic book. He enjoys art, architecture, sports, film, and creating great stories and spending time with his wife and children. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Mr. Rod Douglas.
Hey.
Wow, that was a mouthful for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Oh man, brother, you've got an extensive background in what you've done in this industry, man. So I can't thank you enough, Rod, one, for coming on and sitting down and having a conversation, man.
Yeah, Don, thanks for having me, man. This beautiful Saturday afternoon. Post it up. Let's talk, man.
Yeah, for sure. Miss Regina, proud Texan transplant. Yeah. Yeah, I love Texas. I've been down here a good little while myself. But I always say, like I said, I'm always tried a true Buckeye, but I do love Texas.
Oh man.
Just something about Texas. I mean, obviously from your bio, you've always, like you said, you've always loved cartoons and animation. What was it about just that just really grabbed your attention? I mean, I know it's easy to kind of think about as a child why why a child kind of loves it, but what everybody's kind of got their own little thing about why they just love animations and cartoons, even growing up as a kid.
Right. Yeah, I mean, dude, like it was for me, I was a child and I was always watching cartoons. My head was always in the clouds, just there's been a few artists in my family also. Like they just had, they would draw and they would paint and do things. And so I just kind of was influenced by that. And I just remember being just very young and going, man, I just want to draw cartoons. And I didn't even know like what that meant. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I had to go, I just want to do this. I'm going to make cartoons. And so I remember the first thing of when I would go back to San Diego and stay with my grandparents over the summer, she was a teacher. So she had all these things that she was doing in this diagram of the heart. And so I drew this diagram of the heart. She just was, oh, this is so good. I know you lie to your kids and stuff and say everything is great. But she told me that, oh, this is so great. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I felt gassed up. And she kept it and showed it to me years later. And I was like, oh, this feels kind of good. So just having that, that family support and just nurturing that kind of talent that I thought I had. And it just, family support. And speaking of, I went to San Diego Comic-Con, living there. And I was like, I don't know, 10 years old, 11 years old. And my grandmother, she was like, it was Tom DeFalco, who was editor in chief for Marvel Comics at the time.
Yeah.
She's like, go show him your stuff. She's like, go show him your stuff. And I was just terrified. And I was like, and I just went up there, sir, could you look at my drawings? And so he looked at him and he looked at me, knowing that he could have just written me. But he's like, yeah, man, these are great. You just keep going. And so it was things like that. People just showing me support and everything.
Yeah.
So I just kept going. And
Yeah.
just, I just didn't stop until I guess, made it and wake up every day and do art.
Yeah, yeah. It's just amazing and you don't think about it until hindsight. Like I said, just the little things that could either shift you down one direction or propel you towards another direction. Because, like you said, he could have easily just shattered your little dreams or something by
Right.
saying, it's. Or your family or your mother or your family could have just as easily not pushed you to go say something or not really got behind
Right.
your passion and steered you towards another direction.
Totally, man. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. And that's why every time I go to speak to the youth or whatever, I'm always just making sure I just reach back, because I just know that, every kid's a creative, man. Like every kid loves art. They're just natural artists until society like stomps it out of them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure, like when I go back and just make sure that if you want to draw and you want to do this, then you could just look at me as an example. Because especially like when I go speak to like little black kids, stuff like that, or in projects or wherever. I think it's important. So I always make sure to go do that, because they may not think they have a way out, or they're just probably not used to seeing them. Like, I mean, I didn't really, honestly, for me, I didn't have anybody that looked like me doing it at the time back in the day. Cause like I said, man, I'm old. I'm not one of these young dudes.
He may not look it, folks, but
yeah, I'm just saying, you got to think about this, man. I was drawn, like when I worked in Jimmy Neutron, that was 2001, 2002. Those was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're drawn on paper back then. Wasn't no digital stuff. So it was just a different world back then. So it's cool to be still kind of doing it, and just seeing how much story has evolved, and what a story artist is responsible for.
Yeah.
Compared to back in the day. It's like a lot, man. They're like really, really story artists. That's why I love them so much. So anytime like I've directed things or creative directed, I just lean on my story guys so much, because I know, like I said, I speak that language. So I know all the effort that they put into, they're mini directors themselves. So I just let them create, and then you just kind of put some guardrails up for them and make sure they support the vision, but just let them rock and just let them feel empowered to own their sequences.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd like to ask you that too, because like you just mentioned, you've seen a lot, from paper to digital, and now we're in this kind of AI age.
Right.
And technology and things are moving at such hyper speed. What your thoughts are on kind of where the industry is going, how it's kind of impacted or may impact people? I've talked to a lot of obviously I've talked with a lot of creators. I have a lot of creator friends. I'm a creator myself. You feel a certain way on one hand about AI and how it's used, but then on the other hand, I look at it, it's a tool, and it could be a quite effective tool. But so you got people on both sides of the fence, and I want to know how you feel about it and how do you see it impacting, because it is making a big impact, not just in our industry, but in so many other industries as well.
Yeah, I just like everything else in life. I think it's about balance. Like I don't go too far one way, too far this way, because the extremes aren't where you kind of want to be. And I just feel like I kind of am trying to embrace it, because once the cat's out the bag, man, you ain't stuffing it back in there, right? Like it's too late. It's out.
Yeah, I said this genie's not going back in the bottle.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it ain't going back. So what I don't want to be is the dude on the horse and buggy and the Model T start passing me. I'm just like riding this old. I'm like, why am I still on this horse? And they got these cars driving around. So it's like you do things evolve, right?
Yeah,
Like like I love, like I said, I know people make crypto money, like the evolution of money. Like
yeah,
we're not rolling around gold barrels anymore. We're not
yeah,
paying with shillings and herbs and
yeah,
spices
yeah,
and
yeah,
cattle. Like those used to be currency.
yeah,
You ain't paying with no, a goat anymore. It's
yeah,
like, so things evolve over time. So I'll go, look, it's a tool, and remember, it's AI, but it's still artificial intelligence.
yeah,
See, it needs us to. It's not going to just do nothing. It has to scrape the internet, steal our drawings, and do all this stuff. But make no mistake, it's going to be. It's impacting now at a critical time when the industry is going through a little lull right now. So you
yeah,
got just natural attrition, then AI's coming in, and but I just can't be one of those people that go, no, no AI. No, man, because
yeah,
it's going, it's like, it's a wave. You got the AI wave coming. If you stand there, that wave is going to crush you. Or you dive into the wave and it doesn't affect you as much because you
yeah,
go into it. So I'm not going to stand there and just let it crush me and get passed by. So as a creative, I understand that my experience as a story artist, there's so much nuance that comes with it that you can't just type in a prompt and get all that. Like you can get wonderful rendered images, like 100 of them, but do they connect? Does the first image speak to the last and to the like, like a sequence? Like
yeah,
when you're creating a story sequence, the first shot speaks to the last shot. It's fluid, and I know where the character, his headspace was before this next sequence. Like it's all connected. So now I'm not saying that it can't do that over time, but like right now, it just can't do that.
yeah,
And so I feel like I've had people send me things and I've like tried a couple of things, and it can help a little bit because I'm like, okay, at least from the story artist's perspective, right? You're the one with the vision and you're translating the script and doing all this stuff. So if I go, man, there's a set, where there's a mountain region with, ninjas, and then it's got a little bit of Shangri-La mixed in with a little bit of old world tech from Tartaria or something.
yeah,
What does that look like? So I can just type in all that stuff and get like at least a starter image that can help
yeah,
inspire
yeah. Give you a
what I'm going to
starting
need.
point. Yeah, a starting
Yeah.
point of something.
Yeah, something like that. So I feel like I kind of hate it, but at the same time, I'm not going to dismiss it and poo-poo on it because I'm not going to get, stomped out by it either.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't want to ignore it.
Well, I mean, it's it's like you said, it's a genie that's not going back in the bottle, and it's then I think that's just the nature of technology. That's just how technology moves.
Mm-hmm.
It's always there that little hesitancy moving from older technology to something new. I'm pretty sure, like I said, horse and buggy felt it when the cars came.
Mm-hmm.
Animators, traditional 2D animators
There you
felt
go.
it when 3D came. It's just the nature,
Yep.
of just technology, and we're so used to doing things one way. But then when
Right.
something new comes along, and especially something new that more than likely is going to be one of those technologies that's just it's kind of, how do they say, um, world defining. It's just that kind of technology that's just it shapes, culture and worlds,
Mm-hmm.
like electricity.
Oh man.
So things like that are it's just technology, and unfortunately, I because I feel humans are human nature. There's always going to be people that use a tool and technology the wrong way, or the way it wasn't
Facts.
intended to be used,
Exactly.
or they're
Mm-hmm.
going to try and use it to benefit their own kind of gains and needs. So that's just how that rolls. And then I think until you know laws and legislation and
Mm-hmm.
things like that get a little better and more protective of artists' rights and creators' rights and things like that, it's going to be kind of that kind of Wild West type of thing.
No doubt. I
Yeah.
feel that too. Like you said, it's like anything, like a hammer, you can use it to build a home,
Oh yeah.
or,
Yeah.
or you can murder somebody with it,
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's the how you
Yeah.
use the tool, the force. Luke's
Yeah.
got the force is the force. Got the dark side. How do you tend to use this
Yeah.
thing. Are you going to use it for good or bad or
Yeah.
whatever?
But the
So
smart
I don't
ones,
know.
they learn that it's a technology that's going to be around. So how can I use
Hmm.
this technology? You know,
That's how, dude. Like that's
is
how
it,
I'm seeing it, honestly,
yeah.
man. Like
How
I
can I
can't
use
act
it?
like it's not going to be here. Yeah, it's going to be here. Like it's
Yeah.
not going away. So I'm like, man, how can I just
Yeah.
capitalize on this a little bit? So I haven't really messed with it too much, but like I said, dude, I'm not. I can't act like it's not an impactful piece of tech that's going to alter the way we move through the world. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean, I think it'll, obviously it'll make some positions or some tasks redundant or less, time consuming. Obviously, that's the basis of it. It's supposed to make certain tasks easier,
Hmm.
ideation easier. If you are an artist or writer, and you want to get a feel, flesh out an idea or flesh out a visual or something like that, okay. And you're not an artist,
Hmm.
okay. Use AI and get an idea, but don't use it as verbatim of what it spits out. And I think it's used as an aid to help the
Yeah,
creative.
exactly.
It's an aid to help the creative. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Um, and I agree with what you said as far as I don't think it's going to take the place of the human element. What you know, what have you learned as far as story through this whole journey of the things that you've worked on? What makes a great story in your eyes, and what does it take to craft a great story?
Huh. Yeah, I just makes a great story is just being is I guess you wanted to see how a character moves through the world and how they change as they go through their peaks and valleys through this experience, right? You're gonna just kind of like, based on a three-act structure usually, and there's books that you can read to kind of help you with things like that. But it's interesting, man, because it's like since the beginning of time, we've all, the ancestors sat around a fire and they told stories. Like it's just something that we as humans just do,
Yeah,
and it's something that we gravitate towards. So, before there was, television, you just sat around or radio, and they would tell you stories. And so I just think there's a part of us just innate inside of us that enjoys being told a story. And what makes it great is like, I mean, to me, there's a couple of things like experiencing something that you can relate to, and then sometimes some stuff you can't relate to. Like even within like, I don't care if you're in like a Game of Thrones world and there's like dragons in the background, there's still love and hate and like
yeah,
emotions involved in all these things. And so you just interweave these things into just supposedly there's like seven stories that could be told or something like that. I don't know if
yeah.
it's true, but they're saying there's only so many stories you can tell. So I just feel like you just interchange the characters within that world and
Yeah.
just try
I
to
think there's so
relate
many
to one.
infinitely ways that you can tell those stories. I think as far
Right.
as a framework, like love, hate, you know, fear, those type of things. But
Yeah.
within those kind of genres or silos, there's so many different creative ways that you can tell it. Obviously,
Right.
there's a lot of bad ways because there's a lot of bad
Yeah.
movies that come out that just you know are just done
Yeah.
bad. But then there are a lot of ways that are just they're told in such a creative way,
Hmm.
even though the
Yeah.
story is such a simple story. You know.
Yeah, that's the thing too, man. It's just even with bad things, like you could watch that and then just figure out what worked and what
Yeah.
didn't work for you, and go, oh, I really like the way they did this. I kind of wish they would have went more here. It's really difficult because sometimes, man, because you got to think about it. It's like it's so crazy because like the movie is the movie, right? We all see the same thing, but we come out of it feeling differently
Yeah.
based on our realities, right? Like based on how you were raised or based on how you just view life. This movie is going to speak to you a little differently than it would if, even though we're making it for everyone sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy to me about the thing because if you grew up say in the rural South or something, and you're gonna think differently from somebody who grew up in like in the Bronx in New York. Or, you know, it's
Yeah.
just there's cultural. There's so many differences and nuances, man. That's what, it's just it's I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling, but
Well, I mean, do you feel like that's? I mean,
so,
I feel like that's the true power of animation and cartoons. They really kind of transcend and make those kind of things so much easier to kind of digest. Whether it's learning something, whether it's picking up something culturally or connecting culturally with somebody or a group, or whether it's learning a topic. Animation, at least from what I've seen to pick up, which I guess is why it's so effective with children.
mm-hmm.
It's a great
Right.
way of making an impression on them at a very young age without them even realizing it. Because I think about it now myself. Like I said, I'm relatively, I'm getting ready to celebrate my next birthday Monday, 58. So I've been
Oh,
around a little
congrats, man.
bit.
Nice.
And I don't know for those ones that are in my age range, if you remember Schoolhouse Rock.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a powerful thing, but at the time you didn't think about it because you're just going along with the jingles and
Yeah.
the visuals of it. But on hindsight, looking back on it, you think of the educational principles behind what they were teaching you, and that for me solidified how powerful a medium is that cartoons are. It can really capture you and make you remember things that stick with you so far down the line on stuff.
Yeah, yeah, just thematically things that you could relate to, you know, stories like that. I remember, man, seeing Secret of Nim in the theaters, right?
Yeah,
And it, I can't, I don't know if the owl's name was Nicodemus, I can't remember, but I always remember being a kid sitting in the theater and that owl came out, just them spider breaking through the spider web, dude. It just terrified me. But I'm like, it's like 40 years later, and I still remember how it touched me. Like, ugh. And I just feel like you got to move that meter a
yeah,
little bit. Like, I think sometimes I feel like today we're trying to play everything so safe that everything gets forgotten. Like, you walk out of the theater, and 90% of the movie, you just kind of, it's
yeah.
like gone. As soon as you turn a corner, you know, to go to the bathroom after the thing's over, you don't even remember none of this stuff. Like, it was so vanilla.
Well,
And I
and
just,
that was going to bring me to my next question. Kind of just the formula of today's movies and things that you're seeing starting to come out. What are your kind of thoughts? Because like I said, the industry is kind of going through its little period right now. Like I said, mash between studios trying to like obviously want to make money, obviously wanting to go the safe route. You got creators wanting to create new things and new stories, tell new stories in different ways. Um, what are your thoughts on just like I said, how the industry's kind of going and I guess has it kind of lived up to the promise of what it was trying to do some years ago when it was screaming diversity and putting out new things. Um,
yeah, see, I'm I got old man syndrome sometimes because I remember and you know obviously too I was a little different you know back then but it just seemed like you could see through a lot of the things agendas and stuff today kind of like you could just see it. It's like they put that before they put telling the right story to me.
yeah,
Just tell the story,
yeah,
you know. And I understand you want to interweave in your stuff, you know, certain personalities and whoever, which I get, dude, because you know the industry to me now is definitely a lot more diverse. And this is great. A lot more diverse. You see a lot more, you know, female leads. You see a lot of things that kind of weren't really happening back in the 80s and 90s
yeah,
and stuff. You know what I mean? So, but I think the pendulum always swings, man. If you go too far this way and they see the numbers, oh, we got to bring it on back. Oh, we need Top Gun Maverick. That's the only
yeah,
thing. Okay, boom, boom. do some more, Macho Man Rambo stuff. That's too this is toxic, and then now we're gonna swing it back over this way, and we just they keep kind of doing that, and I think some of the time I get into the nostalgic problem kicking in too much for me. Because I just remember when movies were like, and I wasn't really thinking about all that stuff. You just like, hey, this is great. I just love the movie. I wasn't thinking about all this other stuff. Uh, but I'm not, the medium is moving and it pushes itself. Like, I know when I used to study films, like, dude, I used to love like John Huston films, Treasure of Sierra Madre, The African Queen, Michael Curtiz's, Casablanca, Mildred Pierce, The Adventures of Robin Hood with Earl Flynn. Like, I'm talking movies in like the 30s, 40s, 50s. And I would just study those, and some of them were boring, but the way that the directors and stuff did I don't know, the execution, the staging, the blocking, it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful to me because they took their time with things. Like, I don't know if you've seen like movies like Samsara or Baraka that took like 20 years to make. And they would just go across the world and just shoot like a beautiful mountain range and just see the clouds. You just sit there and you just soak in that beauty of the shot. Of you just holding, and you just let the magic happen within the frame.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes, you have everything so sped up and quick, yet you're cutting so fast, and it's just a different way of making films now. You gotta grab the attention like this, and or you're just done.
Do you feel like, but do you also feel like this time that we live in, because again, you got a lot of, say, directors or creators that they have their vision, but they seem to be fighting with the studio that has their own vision of what they want to put out. But do you feel like now of this age of streaming platforms, of everybody's got their own social platforms where they can put their own stuff out there and ideas out there, that the pendulum has kind of swung a little more in the hands of creators, where they have the power to go directly to their audience now, as opposed to there's a lot of, obviously studios like Disney and Sony, and they got big distribution, but if I'm savvy enough and if I'm driven enough, I can go get just as wide an audience, if not more of an audience, going my own route on YouTube, or putting my own content out there on YouTube, and controlling my own kind of IP and create. Do you feel like we're at this time now, especially, like I said, with more tools becoming available, people, getting kind of disillusioned with this company or that company, because they're, monopolizing this or monopolizing that. And you got companies that are coming out with great software that's open source, free, that you can pretty much use to create and put together anything that you want. You have these platforms now where you can put out your own stuff, your own platforms. If you do want to fund it, you have GoFundMe platforms and Kickstarter platforms to get your idea. What do you think about this time that we live in now as a creator, being this kind of level?
Yeah, I think it's a great time for that. Like, I love that because it takes some of the power away from the gatekeepers that used to own it. You got to go through me to get, whatever. Yeah. Now, like you said, there's Blender, there's all these open source softwares that, because an artist is going to create, man, right?
Yeah.
So you're just going to, what it allows is, it's like, you know what? Or I could finish this product and have less hands in it, so my vision can get out there and I show the public. And then sometimes the big dogs, the Netflixes, the Disneys, they'll see that and go, okay, we want that. Yeah, we want that. And it's already done. Or they just have less influence.
Yeah.
And I think it's great, man. I just feel like sometimes, like, it's almost like music, anything, how it was back then. Oh, you got to get a record deal to get your stuff. Nope. Now you just record something, throw it up. Now, granted, you're not going to get the distribution and all that, but it just shows that you don't need them as much as you used to. I love that, man.
And it only takes one. And like I said, because you got this worldwide basically distribution channel. I mean, you can connect with
Mm-hmm.
anybody worldwide. You don't know who's watching or who sees your content and like, this is pretty great content and reaches out.
Right.
And like you said, if you trust me, if they see you got a big share of audience, they're gonna come knocking on your door.
Yeah. They'll find you, man. Yeah.
They
They'll
will
find you.
find they
Mm-hmm.
will find you and they will offer you some money. It's just now, like I said, you see you have a lot more control in your hands than you thought you did. When you
Yeah. And there's so much
realize,
inspiration. Yeah, and there's so
that
much inspiration out there, man. Like I just see so much. Just you just go to YouTube and just every time you turn around, there's somebody drumming this super dope product, and you're like, oh man, this is great. I just love seeing the people out here creating.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
inspiring.
yeah.
I just man, I love it. I think it's a great time for that.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, I'm excited about seeing what creators can create with AI because, like I said, it is a tool that's not going anywhere. But in the hands of a true artisan, there's going to
See,
be some amazing stuff that's created with it. And there
yeah.
have been some amazing stuff that's been created with it in the hands of a true artist that's using it.
See,
You
there you
know,
go. That's exactly how I feel, man. Because like, if you see, the artist has all this stuff in his head. So if you just put like an artist and then random guy X with a prompt and go, give me something, I don't know, just tell a story about, the mountain Bigfoot or something. You'll be able to type in so many things based on being an artist that your stuff is just going to look better until that other person figures it out, right? You can go, I want this upshot millimeter lens. I want this, whatever you can, film it and all the prompts that you can put in. Just being an artist in general at least starts you off on the better foot. You're in a stronger position just because of your artistic background and all that knowledge of just, storytelling and what you've seen visually.
yeah,
Like, I think that helps you. I think it helps. Like,
yeah.
man, the AI thing, dude, it's a
Well,
trip, dude.
like I said, it's again technology, and you're just not gonna stop technology. That's just the nature of people moving forward in time. Things Technology just
Dude.
comes to fruition, and as a person, you got to, like I said, you got to figure out, okay, well, how can I
Mm-hmm.
use this technology? Like I said, it's just, and that's just the nature of stepping from the old to the new. There's always going to be this sense of fear because they don't understand the new or haven't learned
Mm-hmm.
as much as they can about the new.
I do feel that it's going to affect jobs, though, like to a degree.
To a
It
degree, it
can't
is.
help but to.
Yeah, to a degree, it
Yeah.
is because there are some tasks that it is just going to make one human interaction much more safer because AI can do it in a much safer way, maybe. And two, it's much more redundant. But I think, in the sense of creative tasks, the tasks that just it takes a human touch to
Mm-hmm.
really make it something unique. It's
Yeah.
just
If it
not
starts
gonna
getting like,
take it's just not gonna be able to do that because that's just not the nature of AI.
yeah, like it'll be a while before it's like Jarvis, where you can just tell it things. Because I think once you can start giving it notes, then it might be a problem. Because right now it's just hard to tinker. Like you could use it as a base and kind of steal pieces from it and paint over it and do things, and like do some photo hacks and stuff. But like if you want to be like, computer, make me a rendering of the bulb, and it does this thing. I want the mountains to be more, and you're just telling it what to do, and just like, and it starts doing it. Like once we get there, we're gonna have some
uh,
problems.
well, and again, that's one. It's a good. It could be a good thing, and then two, I feel like it could be a bad thing because that person it helps that person skip the nuances of learning really what goes in or even the consequence of doing this or doing that or not doing this or learning this. Um, it's just Yeah, okay, it'll spit out a piece of artwork, but do you understand the principles of animation? Do you
Yeah.
understand the principles of filmmaking? You
Hmm.
understand the principles of design? You could tell it what you want to see, but does it that doesn't teach you anything about the principles of what makes a good piece of work in a
Exactly,
sense.
man. And that's I'm with you right there. And that's the thing. That's why I think there's still time, and there's still, it's not like the world's ending because of it. But I
No,
do think it'll affect jobs just like it did when like robots start helping assemble
yeah,
cars.
like I
I mean,
said, some tasks is just that's just the nature. Like I said, it's just the nature of technology. It
mhm.
makes some tasks redundant. Trust me. Once planes started getting in the air, you know, railroads were kind of they had to
Yeah,
shift.
man.
Horse and
Yeah, like
buggy had to
okay,
change. Railways
th-
had to change. It's
yeah,
just-
and you can still. No one's saying that you still can't get a horse and buggy and go somewhere today. That's the thing. It's just there's different rails of communication now. Sending letters to somebody.
yeah,
Nope. Email. Like now, not that you can't still do it. It's just a little outdated and it's
you'll
gonna
have
take
to
forever.
adapt because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you would much rather take either a train or a plane going from coast to coast rather than a horse and buggy if you had to.
Yeah, man.
You
This
know
ain't the
this.
Oregon Trail, dude.
so you have, so you have to learn to adapt to the technology that just
Hmm.
inevitably gonna come because that's just the nature of it. And I
Yeah.
like I said, look at it that way. I look at it as a tool, and there are just some
Same.
tasks that yeah, AI is much quicker and much easier. I would much rather use AI, than rather have to do
Hmm.
something manually.
It
Um,
should like. Does it help? Like, okay, so because I love work. That's one thing is too. It's still a people business. That's one thing too. Is like you
yeah,
still deal with people. That's why I'm always like, here's your art. Okay, what makes you tick? Because I'm seeing the art every day, right? I'm seeing your beautiful work, your lovely renderings, your storyboards, and okay, so we'll talk about that stuff. But then I want to know a little bit about the person too, because what if you like werewolves or something, right? Like, oh man, I love werewolves. Well, I know if there's a sequence of werewolves in it, I'm giving it to you because we've talked about your passions. So I don't know that much about werewolves. So
yeah,
I'd lean on you for that information. But that's just talking to a lot of people and understanding what moves and motivates them too. Like, what's behind their thought processes
yeah.
and stuff like that. And AI is just, I use it right now more just for helping with emails. I'm like making things sound more professional, but that's about it. I don't use Mid Journey or anything like that yet. I look at it and I'm kind of amazed what people can that thing spits out. But I still go, man. But what if I wanted a piece of hairs in her wife? What if I wanted to tweak that one? Like you can't do. It's not good. I don't think it understands. Move the hair out the eye.
Well, you have to be
Like
really good. I think, like I said, to get something really good out of AI, you have to be really good at prompting and describing
mm-hmm.
exactly what you want to get exactly, or and to work. It's going to take you some work prompting it. You're not going to get. It's not going to spit out exactly on the first one, especially if you aren't good at describing what you want
Mm-hmm.
and really being new. I want this character with a blue suede leather, old style leather jacket with the button that looks,
Mm-hmm.
really being descriptive about, and I guess an author or a writer, like I said, would be a much better person to get something out of AI because they're a little more
Right.
descriptive about what they're trying to visualize. But most people aren't. They'll just say, just give me a this and this and this, and then wonder why it's spitting out something that just doesn't look right, or
Right.
you know
Yeah. Base
just
level stuff.
yeah,
You're
base
just
level
kind of surface
stuff. Like I
level.
said, you
Yeah.
can get some really good stuff, but like I said, when you look at the prompt, it's almost like a paragraph in and of itself
Right.
because the guy was or whoever was being really descriptive.
That's why I'm not like when it comes to the story element, and I'm just dealing with for more of what I got to deal with,
Yeah,
on the daily is the story, and I still think it's a ways off because it just, you know, it's not about just drawing pretty. It's about problem solving. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that, you'll get the
yeah.
script. Oh, this character's not connecting with this one. Or this is you're just in there solving problems. Just okay, let's try this, and then that didn't work. Okay, throw all those drawings in the trash. All right, let's try. Oh, it's just constant. You know, kind of some deep thinking when it comes to this stuff. I, I'm just not sure it could do all that yet.
No, it
I
can't.
don't
I
think
don't.
so.
That's why I said. I think when you dive into the real serious human element and connections and emotions that you're trying to give a character or have characters convey to one another, yeah, it's just not gonna. It's not gonna give you that unless you're like
Right.
really good again at describing this emotion and really being descriptive about the character and the visual that you want, you're going to get that out
Right.
of.
Right.
But, 9 times out of 10, like I said, it's just not, you know, it's not going to give you that kind of human emotion. So that's why,
Right.
like I said, you got a lot of people that are really good at screenwriting or authoring that they could read something and maybe pick up really quickly. Wow, this was done using AI.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Yeah.
a person that's really skilled in the craft, a skilled artist, a skilled animator, or skilled whatever that's gone to school and learned it can probably pick up really easily and more quickly something that's done in AI because it's just this human thing that
Mm-hmm.
they can pick up on.
Yeah. There, and I wonder too. Like, well, this is for me working in different like uh, you got TV feature commercials. Like I've done a
Yeah,
little bit in every principle, and they're all different too. Like a commercial is completely different than a television series, animation or storyboards, and then feature film is different. Now, they're getting certain features and animations or TV series are getting kind of close a little bit,
yeah,
but for the most part, the turnaround time is different. Like just the level of acting and nuance they want in the boards, the tone, the rendering, it's all different. And then on commercials, it's like, okay, it's a 15-second spot and there's 12 shots. Whereas you're doing a TV show or what is like 500, 600, 700 drawings
yeah.
compared to like 10 for, an Ozempic commercials or something. So it's a different, eye tracing is mega important. I mean, it's important on every medium, but like with commercials, dude, like it's so fast. I'm trying to sell you this. You can't be getting lost where your eye is in the frame. So when the Ford truck is like right here, cut, next shot, the next, it's going to be right where
Yeah.
that cut was. Like it's a science. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm just like, so I could see AI creeping into that area first because it's less complications, and I think it can maybe piecemeal the material together better. But if you're trying to just, hey, let's do Monsters Inc. 4 in AI, I just don't think it's something that's going to be good. Like I don't think Brad Bird's probably using that in Incredibles 3 right now. You know what I
No, I
mean? Like I
don't
don't
think.
think.
I don't think so. Like I said, when you're trying to, I think it's good for the repetitive, non-thinking tasks. But when you're trying to tell a story or do something nuanced, I think that's where
Right.
it struggles, and it has its challenges. And I don't think, I think in a way, like I said, you're just never going to replace
Hmm.
that human element. Now,
Right.
a human task, say a repetitive task, yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Um, say a colorist, somebody that's coloring, you know,
Right.
I'm sure at some point technology got to the point where machines could do that much faster and
Hmm.
kind of now obviously there's a different quality as opposed to hand drawn versus computer style. There's a different kind of element. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but there's a place for it. I mean, you could use it where it saves you time and may save you money. Where that
Yeah.
task it speeds up the process a lot. lot more.
Exactly. I was going to say, as long as you're not losing the feelings and the story and all that.
Yeah,
If you can crank out material faster, but it's still good,
it's still
then I think
good.
that
Yeah.
could be a positive. Yeah, you don't want to lose quality, but if it helps you to like limit your background paintings and you could just kind of
Oh yeah, and I
just
think
something to
that,
help you get the thing going.
and again, I think that's where the human skill and the human element come in. You know, a
Mm-hmm.
person that's, whether they're a director or artist or a sculptor or whatever it is, they bring that human element that's just not going to be replaceable. Like I
It,
said,
Eric, check it out. I know like technology. This is how it impacted me in my early days. It was on Neutron, right? My first real job, like
mm-hmm.
that was great. So it was like we were ramping down, and everyone was starting to work on Ant Bully, and they're like, Rod, you know, there's only a couple of things left for Jimmy. Either you learn something else 3D or you're laid off. Like it's just straight up. So I'm like, oh crap. So I had a buddy of mine who I went in on the weekends and learned Maya, right? So I came
Mm-hmm.
in and learned. We were using Lightwave at first.
Oh
We were
yeah, I
using
love
Lightwave.
Lightwave. That's
Yeah, we were using Lightwave.
yeah.
And so we're using Lightwave, but then they're like, okay, now we're doing Neutron and Maya. So I came in on the weekends, learned it, and so I was still storyboarding. It was the Timmy Jimmy Power Hours. Both of those things. They had to cross over with Fairly Odd Parents. And everyone else, it was like 3 or 4 of us, just skeleton crew, because everybody moved on to the feature. We're just wrapping up Jimmy stuff. And it got to the point to where I was doing the storyboards and then went right into layout. So I was drawing the script and then setting it up in CG and layout for the animation team in the CG layout, basically being a DP.
Yeah.
So that having to embrace the tech side of stuff kept me employed. Right. It gave me an edge to where now a lot of dudes cross over, but it's like I was even with Book of Life. I did previs, storyboards, and then layout. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
get 3 credits, I don't think, but it was a beautiful thing for me because what it did, it just set me up to go, okay. And Jorge was just a dream to work with. The dude was just, I love the man.
Yeah.
And he's allowed me to experiment like that. So you're drawing your sequences out, and then he's like, yeah, play around the camera and do stuff. Going back to the CG brain and being a DP, you could find the shots in CG, get the layout rigs in there and set up the characters and do all that stuff. And you're like, man, it keeps you in the pipeline for a long time. And then I started doing final layout flow, which is after animation, we would go in and do the camera nuances and stuff. Like if it's like, hey, I'm gonna up and away, the camera could adjust a little bit up. You know, the drifting and just all those little subtle camera moves. We would come in after animation and do more camera work and stuff like that. And so it just kept me in the pipe, and I would just keep embracing whatever tech I had to do
Yeah.
to keep working.
Keep
And
you
another
employed.
example, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Don. It was I don't know what it was like right when Kung Fu Panda came out, and we had this directed DVD, Secrets of the Furious 5, where it like
Yeah.
broke down
Yeah.
all the. So they're like, "Hey, Rod, either you're finna get laid off again, so I need you to figure something else out."
Well,
So I
at
was
least
like,
they gave
"Okay,
you a heads up.
yeah, much love to Real Effects for that." So I went over the weekend again, learned how to do like these PSD and cloth sim. So, and I had some people to help me out with that. So all these little rabbits were fighting, and I had to go in there and like the little, robes and stuff for,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
kick, you had to kind of animate and just go, I hope this, and dude, stuff was getting approved. And I had to learn the cloth sim on Shifu's, he had those
Yeah.
long, like
Row. Yeah.
draping robe. Oh man, it was a nightmare. But I just figured it out enough to get something approved, and I just did. I learned cloth sim
What were
to
you
keep
using for
working,
that?
man.
What were you using for that?
I don't even. I think it was Maya. I
Maya
think it was
for
just
that?
the cloth. It was the cloth, and yeah, there wasn't nothing
Or,
special. Granted, this is whatever year it was. I don't know,
yeah.
2000. I don't know, 8 or 9 or something.
Yeah, it's
Because I
amazing
did.
what you'll learn to keep your to keep
I'm like,
yourself employed.
oh, I need. yeah, so that's been my whole world, man. I can go back even further than that. So after Jimmy and I did all the other stuff, we and Jimmy was done. I was on Ant Bully, and they're like, we're using Maya, and then halfway through the production, like, guess what? We're using Houdini now. Yeah, I learned Houdini. I had to just learn Houdini, man. I had to switch everything up and just learn
Wow.
Houdini. So it's like I learned all these software packages, like boom, 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 and just had to, on top of this doing story too.
Wow.
So that was just like a really,
Yeah. Yeah.
hectic time for me. But I just loved it because it just taught me a lot about different processes in the pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you think a lot of that works to a lot of people, a lot of artists, especially now, detriment that they can't handle all of that, and that's too much for them to handle? Or do you think, or have for the most part, people that you've come across, especially the younger ones coming into the industry, are
Yeah, the
able to
younger ones are just, I
kind
think
of
they're killing it.
kill it? Okay, as far
I
as
think they're doing a good job with it. Now, I do, and you know what, man? Like when I go speak to the youth, it is weird because, like, see, I got kids too, and they're old kids. They're not young
yeah,
children. My daughters are 28 and 24, so
yeah,
I got grown women kids. So when I go speak to the college students, I mean, they're younger than my children,
yeah,
and but there is this, I don't know, there's something different going on, you know. But they do embrace the tech as they should because when I was, like I said, when I was in school, the internet sucked, and there was very few references online to
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Right? You could just, there wasn't all these references. So I kind of expect you to be knowledgeable at this point.
Oh well,
There's so
yeah,
much out there.
yeah. I mean, as far as yeah, they're the tech. They're born with the iPad and the iPhone coming out. I
Yeah, they're
mean
killing it,
now,
man.
but I mean, as far as
Amazing.
like the work, or just the pace of the work, that because it is a lot. Like I said, when you think about it, especially now, I guess in this time of films now and the expectation of viewers of what they want
Mm-hmm.
these films to look like, these animations to look like, the quality, the visual effects, all that stuff. It puts a lot of pressure on artists and
Yeah.
studios to come up with these shots and
Yeah.
stuff. And so you do have a lot of artists and creators that are feeling that pressure because the
Mm-hmm.
studios are putting that pressure on them to like I said, crank out all of these shots and things.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't, the studios don't care. So we know that. You know, shout out to the VFX dudes because, man, like all these Marvel, there's like 1,000 CG shots now. Like, you know, it
Yeah,
used to be kind of, oh, there's a little bit here, a little bit there. Now it's like every shot has VFX in it,
yeah.
and they're just getting run through the ringer. So, you know,
And you
I
used
don't,
to,
I couldn't do it, man.
and they're cranking out animations now in a lot more. Before it used to be 2-3 years,
Hmm.
between
Yeah.
films. Now they're cranking out animations every year. The timelines have gotten a lot shorter.
Yep.
The deadlines have gotten, a lot tighter,
Hmm.
just on these shows that are, coming out and being put out, whether they're Nickelodeon, whether they're, all these, episodic shows, and you do have platforms like Netflix that are putting out
Hmm.
original content, but they're wanting obviously people to binge, so they're wanting
Hmm.
episodic stuff and
Yeah.
putting out things. So there's this seems like this demand on just the content being out there, which seems kind of almost counterintuitive because of how the industry is going and how people are struggling to get jobs and
Hmm.
studios we're hearing about studios letting go here and there and laying off here and there and all of this.
I know it's weird, man. It's just a weird time in the industry. I've seen a lot of ebbs and flows in it, you know. But this is a weird time for sure. Like so many things happening at once with it. So like I got a lot of buddies that are like, you know, looking for work. I'm lucky to still be working. I feel it's just
Yeah.
right through this time. It's a little rough right now, but man, during the downtime, that's when you can just get better, right? Like you can just work on your own stuff, sharpen the knives and skills up. So, when it's time to get back in the game, you already got, oh, well, I learned Blender in
Yeah,
six
yeah,
weeks
yeah,
over,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. Yeah. And so you could use that, to your benefit while there's a lot of downtime in the industry. Isn't it? But, I'm not feeling it right now.
Yeah.
It's just a downtime, but I know I'm still, grinding, creating every day and just still waking up going, man, I get to create and
Yeah,
I'm still
yeah.
happy with it. So I'm trying to keep my vibes up because, and just not letting a lot of I'm aware of it,
Negativity. Yeah, I mean, you got to
Yeah.
be
Just
aware
not
of
let it
it.
creep in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can't let that stop you, obviously, from
Yeah.
that. Are you encouraged with just the different, I guess, styles in looks of animations and films and how some are kind of pushing the boundaries of just,
Hmm.
you know, what they want
I
their
love
film to
it.
look like, from say even the Spider-Verse
Oh, exactly.
into, Arcane, and into these just
Hmm.
really unique styles of telling story, um, with the stuff
Oh
that's
man,
coming
this is
out.
awesome. Yeah. I
Um,
love it.
I know you did
It's
some
another great
stuff
time.
with Guillermo del Toro. His Pinocchio was off the chain. I don't
Yeah.
know if you
Yeah.
just stop motion, just these new
Yeah. Yeah.
things
I've
that are
seen it.
coming out
Hmm.
that are really, and that's what I love about Guillermo. He he he's not hung up on one medium or the other. It's about the story
Exactly.
with him, and
Exactly. As long
however,
as you tell a story.
yeah, as long as he can tell a story, however that story is best told, he comes up with the most interesting way of telling it. Like I said, Pinocchio, I thought it was just a masterpiece in how he told it,
Yeah.
and just,
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that angle either. Like I didn't know. I wasn't expecting him to come at it that way, and it looked great. And I love the way that and see because remember how it was at one point. At one point, everybody was trying to look like Pixar, and it just
yeah,
was hard to
yeah,
hit that. And so now Pixar is like the only one doing it that way now because everybody's pivoted. And Fortiche with the Arcane stuff, that
yeah,
studio just is awesome.
yeah,
I love it. They got that market cornered, man. Nobody's messing with them on that
yeah,
like that. And then it was Sony and pushing things with Spider Verse and then hand drawn feel. I love it because like the artist's hand is back in the game, right? Like you can have your CG stuff. We obviously that's where we're at, and we need it. And it's great, and we love it. But sometimes if you can just have that artist like an
yeah,
artist painterly touch on top of that
yeah,
to help tell the story in a
yeah.
different visual capacity.
Yeah, and
It's
it
just really
almost
it's a
became a
great time for that.
character. Almost became a character in and of itself. Just the style
Yeah,
of
man.
it, it's
Yeah,
just so well done. And
I think even
definitely,
Mitchell's versus the Machines had a
oh
cool
yeah,
like I
I
think people
love that,
slept on it.
man. I've watched that
Yeah,
so many different times. It's just,
yeah,
like I said, it's just such and I love going back through like their art books and their drawings,
yeah.
because it shows you the evolution of how they just really worked to get this
Hmm.
style and look of how they wanted it to be, you know?
Yeah, it was really great. It was a good movie, and I just loved how they had that painterly look to it. It was subtle, but it was nice. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I love what is out there right now, and even straight up 2D because I'm at Brazen right now. We just did this like little mouse project for 2D. I didn't work on it, but the studio did a great job, and it was just all 2D, straight
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
100% hand drawn. And it's just that just seeing that is just so refreshing to me. It's like all those 2D guys back in the day that just kind of either had to learn 3D or some of them a lot of them went to storyboarding
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
cool. But then there's a lot of 2D work going on now,
And I think, like I
which I
said,
love.
it's and it usually takes like somebody coming out with something to really kind of bring that medium back to the forefront, or just show you a real appreciation for that medium, whether it's, like I said,
Hmm.
2D, hand drawn 2D, or stop motion, um, just and you get a real sense of appreciation for, and that's why I say, as much and as powerful as AI is, it's just not going to take the place of those
Oh
little
man,
small nuances of what a human person can bring to a character, drawn
yeah,
2D, done 3D, done with clay. It's just not going to be able to do that, you know.
yeah. I'm glad Coraline got re-released in theaters. I think it's made like 37 million bucks or something like that.
Just
And I was
what
like,
is it?
man, shout out. Yeah, I was like, because when Leica disestablished that,
Yeah,
that look and feel, I was like, oh yeah. So I'm glad that it's been re-released and people are loving it, enjoying it
and
again,
get
bringing it back.
and it reignites this passion for, like I said, this medium that you would think, or I guess like 2D thought it was going to get lost when 3D came
Hmm.
out. It just reignites this passion. No, it's just another medium for storytelling.
Yeah, and things
and
are cyclical. You know how it works, man. Like
yeah,
things are hot for a minute, and then maybe the photo real stuff will start swinging back, and it's everything is just in flux, kind of just this movement. But it's just the process of just art and what's
well,
hot right now.
and I think and that's what excites me about AI, because it's a new technology in in the hands of a creator. It's just
Hmm.
amazing what, because like I said, Unreal was a game engine, but once it got into the hands of a filmmaker that said, "Wow, I wonder if you could use it for this," or the real time
Hmm.
aspect, can I create it
Yes.
morphs into this different thing that a creator can
Hmm.
use to tell a story. That's what I said. It's just, it wasn't intended. So in the hands of a creator, new technology or just new things just tend to morph into these things and become these things that are just so much bigger than what
Hmm.
probably the inventor intended it to be, you know.
Yeah, that's a great example, man. The Unreal thing is a good example too. Yeah, just real time game engine. Like, you know what? I'm gonna make a movie in this, or I'm gonna make a short film
And
in
it's
this.
now directors. So, you put a tool into the hands of a creator, he'll think of, well, yeah, I know it was made for this, but wonder how it handles this, or I wonder how it
Hmm.
does this, and they'll just experiment and come up with just
Yeah,
these things. And like I said, you just never know.
yeah, it's lovely, man. I like I said, I've messed with Unreal not that much because it like things are the camera stuff is backwards and upside down. It's a little different for me, but like I said before, I try to embrace like new tech as much as I can. There's things right now. I'm not boarding as much as I used to. I was head of story on a project that we were just working on for about a good year. So I
Yeah,
wasn't my hands weren't in it as heavily.
yeah.
But yeah, I've messed with grease pencil and a couple of other things, and it's not. Man,
Do
I
you
got to
miss
just sit
that?
down and
Do you miss
do I
that?
what?
Do you miss that?
Yeah, kind of. It it's there's other things that come with like kind of management-y stuff.
Yeah,
Like you're in meetings and you're doing things and you're hearing stuff that you maybe didn't want to know or stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yes, and so it kind of there's an adjustment period, and I've adjusted. I'm still adjusting. Obviously, you never get there. You just always are just evolving and learning. But I used to have this barrier of protection where you didn't hear certain things. You just, oh, I'm in the trenches. You just
yeah,
drawn away. But now I've kind of moved up, and then I had a team of 6 artists that I was, you know, working with 2 episodes at the same time, and you're just trying to work your way through 2 episodes with
yeah,
4 or 5 different artists. So it's different. It was different for me, but once again, it was a great experience. I learned a lot. So there's never anything on the downside of learning. Like
yeah.
you just got to keep going. But a part of me misses just getting busy and just never worrying about like meetings and all this other stuff.
Well, yeah, the kind of, like I said, the nitty gritty kind of getting into, because obviously there are, people that may have started out, as a modeler or a 3D
Hmm.
person, but wound up directing, or found themselves, like I said, in a much different position.
Hmm.
Um, and they're not, like I said, they're not hands on anymore. They're not sitting at the
Right.
box anymore doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're more
Yeah.
management and kind of in that
Mm-hmm.
more higher level position.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I said, some people, like I said, it's a different, mindset and obviously position set. Some people
Yep.
some people would much rather be on the box and just actually working on the
Yep.
thing.
I've known multiple people that have done that. They're hey, I want to do this, and they go get that position or their lead or store or blah blah, and then like, I don't know, it wasn't what I thought it was, or maybe they just didn't like,
Yeah.
they didn't like it, and they
Yeah.
wanted to go back and just be a creator and just be an artist, and
Yeah.
just all I want to do is just create. I want to deal with none of the drama. I want none of the office politics stuff. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear none of that.
Yeah.
I just want to create, and so I've known multiple people that have kind of backtracked on some stuff, but to me, I feel like I was a late bloomer though, so I'm cool with it.
Well, obviously, if you're that type of person that is more interested in the pipeline of the whole thing, the production from beginning to end, putting together a project from beginning to end, that's something that you're going to need to at least be aware of, or at least have plenty
Yeah,
of being, in that
yeah,
kind of space for a bit of time to understand the nuances of what goes on in this department.
exactly, man,
But again, you're
exactly.
looking more higher level as opposed to,
Hmm.
okay, I want to direct or I want to run my own studio or whatever the case may be. It's more higher level thing. You're going to need to understand all of that stuff.
Yeah, you got the 30,000 foot view, and I would
Yeah.
always. This is something I just would do on my own. It's just you got buddies all interdepartmentally throughout the company, and I would just ask them, man, how long does it really take to model blah blah blah, and so I would just gather all this information, depending complexity of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk
Yeah.
to my lighters, talk to my modelers, talk to the riggers, talk to and just kind of get at least this vague global view of okay, this is how long it takes to make a character, skin it, rig it, light, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. So if I got it was just to help because I know how it is, man. Like get a producer in the room and they kind of go, oh, we can't do it, right? And can't. I'm like, man. I was like,
That's the job
my
of a
modeling dude,
producer.
yeah. Yeah. I'm like, hold up. My modeling buddy just told me he can model this in 3 days. So
Oh
you
man,
lying.
it's funny. It's always this kind of back and forth thing of I guess producer, financier people have to balance it with this, and that's why I say this. You know, most people aren't really privy to the really high dealing, and I'm pretty sure as you get into those projects that have millions and millions of dollars on the line of it, you got a lot of people that's got their voices in the mix.
Yeah.
Of
And
what's trying to be
that comes with some
done.
stress, man. Like I know I
Yeah.
couldn't be a producer, but I've worked with some great ones. Some creative producers that and coordinators too that are just like they're multi-talented. Like
Yeah.
they know creativity so what they've done is they know what looks good, but they also know the numbers. So they could kind of get this nice mix going. I've worked with
Yeah.
a lot of cool producers and that, they've been really good to me and like, stuff like that.
So
So
for
like
what you
all the
do, what would you say are like prerequisites of things that you should know or should be good at if somebody wants to be head of story or
right.
layout?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's two different principles. So at least
Yeah.
with story, I would definitely. Well, the one thing that goes over to both is just filmmaking, learning film, and understanding film language. That that helps so much because the first time you see anything is in storyboards. The first time you see anything in CG is layout. So those two things are the first time you're seeing the script in each of those principles, right? So when I'm drawing the script out, it's just sketches and you're kind of setting up the armature and the blueprint for the shot. So then when I go to layout, I could look at that and go, oh, it's an upshot. And learning camera lenses, oh, I use a 27 or 35 here or 50. But when they move over here, I'm going to use this lens and I'm going to compress the space because the character's feeling, overwhelmed at the moment. So I'm going to
Well,
use
I guess when
this
people are
lens.
thinking that, and I guess when I'm thinking it, are when you're doing that, do you have the actual models of the characters, or are you just blocking out a scene with a cube, or blocking out a camera view with a cube in this or that, or have you gotten the final model or the model at a certain point to where, okay, this is this, type of thing. So
Right.
kind
More
of,
time than not, yes.
yeah,
More time than
let me know, or be clear, like when you're sitting down blocking out a shot after you've drawn it out,
okay.
how it
So
comes to you.
yeah, if I'm in layout, we usually get the story reel that's been drawn by the story artist, and we look at it and go, okay, we kind of get a feel. We usually get like a kickoff from the director or whoever, the showrunner or somebody, that this is the feel I want for this sequence. You know, here we're going to use prime lenses or whatever throughout this. Don't use with these and blah blah blah. And so usually we get the rigs. Most of the time they're ready, right? They're already, and they got like rudimentary rigs that you can pull in and set up. Say they're sitting on a couch watching TV.
Yeah.
We have our set. We have our 3D set, and so we'll import the characters and just get them positioned and sit them on the couch and whatever, and go. We look at the boards, and usually, that's at least that's the blueprint for the boards. We start on the TV. They're watching Itchy and Scratchy or something, so we start on the TV, and then the camera could pan over to them laughing or something, or start
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the,
yeah.
like he's drinking a cup. He puts the cup down. Boom, the mug goes on the table. The camera pans up, and then we do a movement or whatever. But yeah, we usually have the rigs, and if we don't, we'll put stand-ins, and that or have at least kind of similar. For example, Jimmy Neutron could not, when I was in layout, he couldn't touch the top of his forehead, like he couldn't do it. But when you're drawing it, everything works. You make it work because you're
Yeah.
cheating. You're drawing. So he's like, yes, sir, no problem. Well, he
Yeah.
can't really do that or something. So, or he can't reach something on his shelf. But when you're
Yeah.
drawing it, he reaches it.
Yeah.
So you get in there, you start solving problems like, oh man, he can't reach that. Okay, maybe we could show him, add a shot of him pushing a box in, or he's standing on a crate. Then
Yeah.
he can do it. Like, see, that's again, you're always problem solving. But yeah, we usually have it. And then you just, with your lenses, you just kind of know your standard lenses that make things look this, and you're going to go wide, use this, you're going to compress. That's just like camera language, DP stuff.
Yeah.
But it also helps when you're doing your storyboarding too. Like the principles go over pretty well for me, because I think I went through like 5 or 6 years of no storyboards at one point in my career. It just wasn't in the cards for me. And I didn't start storyboarding again to Book of Life. So basically it went from like 2012, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, probably like 2007 to 2012, no storyboards.
Mm.
It was just all CG layout. Like I worked on we did these Looney Tunes shorts that was like awesome. They were filming it. They would air in front of certain Warner Brothers projects,
Yeah.
and those were great. But anyway, I'm just saying. So a part of me loves being a layout artist too, is because you're basically a director of photography there. Whereas when I'm in story, what I really, really love about that is you're basically mini directing. I don't care what anybody, like every story artist is a director in their own right. Because once again, this is why I love working with them so much, because I understand, I speak the language. Because you're a writer, you're a comedian, you're an editor, you're a lighter, there's like just every principle you are in some capacity controlling and responsible for,
Yeah.
right? Because in the script, there's so much that's not said. So you have to embellish, add on, and just kind of make it like, if you're watching Game of Thrones, I'm sure it says something like she gets on the back of the dragon and destroys the incoming blah blah blah, and it's like 2 sentences. That's like 500 drawings. Just take that line of what's happening, and then how does that look visually? What are we
Yeah.
saying visually, right? So visually, how does this look?
Yeah.
And you're responsible for breaking up all those shots and like the cutting. She's swooping in, jumps. It's a lot, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just think I would encourage every somebody who wants to do story, just watch a lot of movies and film, study them, read books, on cinematography because it just shows you like what kind of not to do, follow the rules, and you're not hard fast to them, but there's still a language to be spoken.
Yeah.
Like you don't
There's
want to be
still a
flopping characters
baseline.
all over the place. Yeah. You got to stay on this side of the line. Don't be cross. There's a
Yeah.
language to it,
And it
man.
was funny. I didn't realize that until it was broken down. I was watching some cinematography. I was watching more editing,
Mm-hmm.
editing for cinematography, and they were talking about just the line of sight on a camera and how you keeping it consistent when you're jumping from one character to another character that's talking with each other. It was just interesting that stuff that you have to kind of keep in mind, otherwise it breaks this illusion of how easily it can break the illusion of what you're trying to get people to see.
Right. The character's on the left, this character's on the right, and when they're
Yeah,
talking to each other, they have to be on. And
yeah.
then when you go over the shoulder, they got to stay on that side, so it seems like they flopped all over the place. Yeah,
Oh
and that's
man.
what I mean, man. Yeah. So
And
study that. You study film, and a lot of something that's really helpful that I used to do. I haven't really done this in a long time, but I used to do it. Was watch movies with the sound off, and just when the camera cuts,
yeah.
you just draw it, cut, draw it, cut, draw it. Because what happens is, man, it's almost like working out. It's like mental calisthenics and muscle memory. Like you start to like, oh, every time they have a character come in, I've seen it done. Like, oh, this would be cool. You just start drawing back on all those Spielberg oneers and like all
Yeah.
these shots that you've studied, and you'll start incorporating that and just learning, just doing that. It's like a great exercise.
Yeah.
I think it's a slept on exercise. I used to do it all the time. I don't do it no more though, but I need to get back on
Well, I
that.
think it's like I said, as a storyteller, creator, it's just essential watching those like old style movies, watching life, just being an observer of a lot of different things and breaking those things down, and asking yourself the question, why did I like that, or what didn't I like about that shot, or what just what did it convey to me? So being an observer, becoming more observer or a keen observer of life and just movies and things just makes you a better creator all the way around.
Always, man. It does. It's so true.
Uh,
Sketchbooks, anything.
everything. Everybody just joining in. Sorry about just bringing you back in there, Mr. DeMille. I appreciate you stopping by and tuning in there. Happy Saturday to you there. We are having an amazing conversation with my man Rod Douglas, lead story artist extraordinaire. What are some of the things? Well, what are some of the types of stories that you're hoping to kind of tell? More of. I mean, you've done a lot and worked on a lot of different styles. Really cartoony. Some styles of this. You've also done corporate work. Type of stuff. What are some of the things that you really are hoping and would love to sink your teeth into and get into as far as project wise?
Yeah, I'm working on some things with a buddy of mine too, a little more edgy stuff, a little more, adult. Because most of the
Yeah,
stuff I work on in animation is like it's more children's
children's. Yeah, for
stuff.
children. Yeah,
Yeah, and not that adults don't appreciate it because we make it for them too. But you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's safe stuff.
yeah,
Not like
yeah.
Arcane. It'd be cool to do something like that with some blood and
Yeah,
some
yeah,
violence in there, and also too, like using like a little black boy as the lead because I don't see that that much.
yeah,
Like just like a young black child, like a boy,
yeah,
almost like never ending story, but with a little black dude.
yeah. Are
Something
you?
like
Yeah. Are you encouraged with some of the content that's coming out of Africa, especially with studios like Disney partnering with studios and creators over there to put out Kizazi
Yeah,
Mojo, Iwaju,
it was.
some of the
Yep.
other ones coming out. Um, just the plethora of I'm just amazed at the plethora of creators that I've been able to connect there with over there.
Mm-hmm.
One, just the challenges of stuff that we kind of take for granted here that they have to kind of keep in mind and
Mm-hmm.
still create, you know,
Yeah.
you know, quality stuff and great stuff, you know.
Yeah. I think it's great. I love that they're doing that because I don't see them. They wouldn't have done this back in the day, right? Like I guess they felt the pressure to do it. Like, man, we got to start collaborating with some more black talent or the Africans,
Yeah,
the Nigerian or Nollywood. Man, they're just creating a storm over there.
yeah,
You know, with
yeah,
the Nigerians and making all the new stuff over there. I, I I love it, and there needs to be more of it. Like to me, I remember like watching Shaka Zulu. It used to come on TV back in the
mm,
day,
yeah,
and I just for some reason I just loved seeing like African royalty. And then he was also, you know, a strategist, a war
or
big dude,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, just the way the Zulu, you know, we're gonna break the long spear and we're gonna go right up on. So I was like, it's just stuff like that because I also are thinking like my wife's gonna pull up. I'm sorry, man. I know my dogs might start barking. So, but
you
anyway,
know.
yeah, just to have that. Lost my train of thought.
Well, you come out with there's a lot of stories, and I think that's
Oh yeah,
the
okay.
beauty of it is they've got such a plethora in talking with a lot of the friends that I've made over there. They've got such a plethora of stories and folklore and things that they can fall back on and tell.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think part of it is just that whole thing we were talking about before, just this time of okay, well now you got a lot of studios that are smaller studios that
Mm-hmm.
they're building their own channels, their own they're kind of doing their own thing. We better start working with these creators or find a way to work with these creators, especially if we want a slice of the pie
Yeah,
type of
yeah, I know,
thing,
right?
type of thing.
Gotta
But
get that money, man.
now, like I said, I think it's as creators, we're realizing we have such control now over our own destiny of what we create and the stories that we tell.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of studios now are starting to really kind of wake up to the fact that we want different stories, we want different characters, and the only way to do that is to reach out to different people that are out there, different creators that are out there that are they're creating their stuff anyway. They're just doing it
Right.
without you. So, to find those ones and partner with those studios and creators that are really trying to tell,
Mm-hmm.
original stories, their own stories, true to themselves. I don't know about you, but I'm not really enthused about seeing a Kung Fu Panda 6 or
Yeah, I know,
or
man. I
Fast and
know.
Furious or
Like
Fast and
this.
Furious
Yeah,
11. So,
I
let's
know. It's like,
let's
come
come
up.
out with some original stuff. And there's like I said, there's some just in the creators that I've met, there's a lot of interesting stories and, you know, even the
So
ones
many.
that are working on at studios, I found they're still working on their own ideas.
Yeah, no
You know,
doubt. And I encourage everyone to do that too, just individually. Like
yeah,
I got some side stuff I'm doing, but and it was a project that I came up with when I was at the Art Institute, man, like 20 years ago. And
yeah,
I just kind of I haven't touched it in a decade. I was like, you know what? I had to blow the dust off this sucker, and this is I needed it for myself. I needed it for my own like
oh
mental
man,
sanity because I had these ghosts on my shoulders like create me, and I just was smacking them out, and they're like, no man, we're gonna stay on your
no,
head
we're gonna
until you
stay
do
on
this.
your shoulder until you do,
Yeah,
brothers.
yeah,
You got to.
yeah.
I gotta ask you about, like I said. Oh, I hope his phone didn't. He was using the phone.
Yeah,
Oh, there he
sorry
is.
man, I got a
Okay.
call.
Call came through. He's using his phone.
Yeah,
I have to
I
ask you
am.
about the Art Institute because I am an alum myself. The Art Institute of Houston. What did your time there? And I'll admit, like I said, I'm a little before you. They didn't have compute when I went. They weren't offering computer animation. They weren't offering computers then when I went. So obviously, you know, they had their little issues, you know, financial issues and
shut it
backlash
down
and stuff like that. What was your, you know, thoughts? And I have my own personal thoughts and you know, feelings about it. What's your thoughts about the Art Institute and what you learned and what you picked up from there? Obviously, you know.
Well, look, man, if it wasn't for the Art Institute, there would be no Rod at Jimmy Neutron, and I would have a different career path because that is where I went to school and met like multiple people that worked on the show was from the Art Institute.
Yeah.
So if all it did for me was it just gave me, it put those people in front of me.
Yeah.
That needed to be there for me to continue on the path that I was supposed to be on. Yeah. The education, you know, dude, this is back in the day. I remember we using floppy disks and zip drives and stuff. Like it just was the internet was barely there. Like, so it's a different, and
it was.
The instructors were cool, but it's not like I had, you know, Milt Call or one of the 9 old men giving me notes. Like we didn't have that level of instructor. So, and no one, it's like I had to come home and draw. Like they didn't really teach me anything. You had to do your own stuff. Yeah. So how I look at it was it worth it? Yes, because of the connections I made at the Art Institute of Dallas, period.
Yeah.
So I can't poo-poo on it too bad because
and I think that's more what it's about is the relationships and the connections that you make. Whether it's like I said, your in-person school or online school. Now we've got all these great online schools where you don't necessarily have to go, you know, you know, the Art Institute and the brick and mortar to learn, you know, a really highly specialized skill and be industry ready to go with a lot of them, you know.
It's so expensive too, man. Like, I don't even know anymore if like, should you just learn and just make a cool reel or go to school? I don't know. Cause the connections are, I don't know, man. I don't know what I would do right now. If I had to like do it over, I'd probably go to art school, but I know it's just, it's changing out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now, because like I said, you got all these great schools, like, you know, now you got Animation Mentor, you got Noman that's offering online training and and the majority of these online schools, the teachers are actually, you know, people working at actual studios. So they're teaching. So you're building these relationships. You can build these relationships for a lot less money than what you would have to pay for in-state, paying for an in-state school or, you know, definitely paying way less than where I think the Art Institute wound up being before they went belly up, you know. It was way more than.
Yeah, man, you're right on that, dude.
You know, a lot of schools that were given way better, you know. Of course, you know, like I said, now some people learn better in that in-classroom, sitting in front of a teacher environment. You definitely got to be a self-motivating type of person if you're going to do online training.
True.
Because you're the one that's got to sit and motivate yourself through the work, you know.
Yeah, that's a fact right there. But I work with a couple of guys that they've been doing animation mentors for years. Yeah, and I sit like right across from one of the dudes. So it's like, there are industry pros giving the people the instructions. So it's
bypass all that added extra expense that you would pay or school loans that you would pay. So I think it gives a lot more options, and you got people now that don't necessarily have to go or live in that country or live in that state as long as they got internet connection, a good internet connection, they can learn and get the training.
They say, man, change your thinking, the earth is shrinking. You know what I mean?
is is just getting crazier and crazier for sure. Um,
Hmm.
for you, I always like to ask, what's kind of been the best piece of advice somebody's given you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's industry
Hmm.
related. It's just good advice that somebody's given you that's really kind of you've gone back to several times or
Yeah.
you've fallen back
Um,
on.
just I think it's kind of it may sound generic, but like that never stop learning, and remember who you are because there's no one else holding your hand. You were doing that work,
Yeah.
you were doing it right. So just believe in yourself. Uh, you're the co-creator of your own reality, so you have to make the effort to get this stuff going, and don't sleep on yourself. And if it's meant to be, and your hard work will pay off in some form. Like it may not be direct,
Yeah.
but just keep at it, work hard, and things just start lining up for you. They just do, man. Like but yeah, but don't stop working though. You have to put in the work. I know certain young people don't want to hear that, but that is some
Nah.
great advice. And yeah, you got to keep working, man.
Nah,
Don't
a
stop
lot of
working
people
and
don't want
learning,
to
man.
hear that. They want to do
Hey,
it the quick way. Like, why can't I just get
yep.
AI to do it?
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it'll pay off for you. But when you put in that
Yeah,
work,
it
it's gonna
really
pay off
does.
for you.
You guys
Hmm.
know how I like to always do it for sure. Boom, that was the wrong one though. I always like to do explosion on bombs that are dropped. He dropped some serious bombs in
Oh,
that, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Put in the work, and don't be afraid to
yeah.
put in the work for sure. Um,
Hmm.
everybody, again, that's just jumping in. We've been having an amazing conversation, and I always tell it goes by so quick. We're already coming up on 2 hours, so
Oh man,
it
yeah.
goes by enormously,
Dang,
enormously fast and quick.
fast, dude.
But definitely look forward to gives me an opportunity to have Rod back on for sure.
Oh
But I
yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
can't thank you enough for coming on and really sharing just your thoughts and your knowledge on the industry and everything. Again, make sure that you do get connected with Rod. We do have a couple of places where you can connect with Rod. You can go to his IMDb. That's a little long, but the link will be in the show notes there, so you don't have to worry about writing it down right now. It's it's one of those long ones
Yeah,
there.
I'm. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I've been so busy. I gotta work on my own site. It's gonna take you nowhere if you go to roddouglas.com. It ain't gonna be nothing there. So I'm working on that. Y'all just bear with me.
Yeah, he's a working. Like I said, if we're gonna give him forgiveness because he's working. It'd be
Yeah, you
different
know.
if he wasn't working and wasn't nothing up there. It's like, okay, you don't have
Yeah,
anything up
I'll
there.
come
But
back on season 5. I'll come back on season
yeah,
5,
he'll
and I'm
he'll
gonna
be
have
back
something.
on season 5. Then we'll expect him to have a full fleshed out IMDb page and
Yeah, I'll show you
Instagram
some
page.
stuff, man. Then I
But
can share
there,
some work and show you.
you can connect with definitely connect. You can connect with them and find them on LinkedIn as well, which is where we connected. But
No doubt.
again, make sure that you connect with them. Also, which I don't think I did, uh, some of the stuff that Rye has worked on. If you've seen the Book of Life, that was a good movie. Zoe Saldana gets around, man. She gets into all these movies. She's one of those working.
Yeah.
She's almost like uh, female Samuel Jackson. She's been in a lot of stuff. She's just she's just working all the time. It
Yeah.
seems like, but she's a
She's in
great
a
actress.
lot of sci-fi, man. All the
Yeah, she's
Marvel
in.
stuff and
Yeah, she's in
Avatar.
a.
I mean,
Yeah, she's
everything,
in a
man.
lot of good franchises. Yeah. That's what I meant. She
Yeah,
was on a good
she
franchise.
she was she came up to the studio too, and we met her. She was
Oh,
a
did she?
sweetheart.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she
I
came up
think
to
that
real
would be
thing.
really fun to watch, like voiceovers and just the whole process. That's what I would love. That's what my thing is. I would love to, I would jump at the chance to work at a studio to learn the whole process of what it takes of putting a film or a project together. And that's
Hmm.
where, like I was saying earlier, if you're the type that needs to see that kind of 30,000 view of knowing, this is what's done in this process, this is what's done in this
Hmm.
process. Um, but I think that would be a fun thing to be a part of, the voiceover. I always enjoy watching the voice talent, behind the scenes voice
Yeah,
talent and stuff.
it's difficult, man.
Yeah,
Shout
it's a
out to
lot of
those
work.
voice
Yeah,
talents. It's
it's a
hard.
lot.
I tried to do scratch, and I sound terrible. I can't do it.
Trust me, I said I have a much better appreciation because I was doing a lot of, I was shooting a lot of corporate interviews and testimonials type of video
Hmm.
stuff, and I was doing a lot of that. I got a much better appreciation for directors and actors that have to do take after take after take,
But
that type
hmm,
of thing. I was
me
like,
too.
oh, geez.
A
Just,
special breed of person, man.
yeah, it is. And there's that Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. I did love the movie. I kind of watched the series a little. But
Yeah,
that was one of
and I
those,
mean,
it was just one of those
that's old school.
groundbreaking, and because I think what did it for me was, like I said, even though it wasn't like Pixar style type, it showed me the possibility of what you could do using like Lightwave. Because, like I said, I
Yeah.
started out, and I know Lightwave was like really big in TV sci-fi, like Babylon 5. They used it
Hmm.
for, and all the
Yeah,
Sequest
yeah.
and all the, because it was really good. It
And
was
it was
really,
cheap.
yeah, it was really cheap, and it was a really quick, easy software that could turn around shots really quickly,
Hmm.
as opposed to what they were using in film. So that's what really excited me about that, because I started out learning 3D on Softimage. And I don't know
Okay,
if you
yeah.
remember Softimage.
I
That
remember
was,
Saltamage. I do.
yeah, that wasn't the easiest.
Yeah, I never messed with Saltamage. I skipped it. I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
it
but it was
is.
good though. People used it.
Yeah,
It
it
was.
was. I mean, what excited me about that was what they used on Jurassic Park. That
Yeah,
was
dude.
kind of the software they used on Jurassic. They were using it for a lot of films and stuff. I was like, wow, okay, I get to learn
But
Softimage. But boy, when I jumped into it, I was like, that really just soured my love for 3D. And it
yeah,
wasn't until
nothing.
it wasn't until Lightwave came around that I fell back in love with 3D. I was like, okay, I get it. 3D.
Yeah, man, ain't nothing I ever did look like Jurassic Park and Saltamage. Nothing. I mean, Jurassic Park still holds up.
Yeah, it does. That's what I said.
It's freaking
But
30 years ago, man.
yeah, you can get Jurassic Park quality look, but yeah, you're gonna have to do some work to get
Man,
Jurassic Park. And I was
yeah.
like, and that was doing and when they brought out like the manual, because I was self learning it, myself. At the time, I was trading out design work for a company that taught and sold the software and stuff.
Hmm.
And so they would just let me come in and play around on the software. So I was just learning it myself. But man, when they brought out the manuals for Softimage, I was like,
Man,
I can't sit and learn this.
those are like encyclopedias,
Yeah, and
Britannicas, man.
they were like you were back in algebra, like back in algebra
Them joints,
class.
no, them joints were thick. I was like,
Thick,
man, I ain't like
thick.
phone books.
Yes. And I got it. It was funny because, like I said, I still have a couple of them on my shelf here.
Man,
They were
your
like
shelf gonna
thick.
break. Yeah,
I
I'm gonna say
was
you
like,
better put them on the bottom row.
yeah,
You
that's
know what
where
I
they're
mean?
at on the bottom row. I was like, man. And so that just really just kind of turned me off on 3D because I just couldn't wrap my head around
Yeah,
just kind of
it's
like
very
Maya.
complex.
I know Maya is a powerful software and industry standard, but it's something about, it's just overwhelming. So when Lightwave came out and all this cool stuff was being done with Lightwave I just got because it wasn't like
Yeah.
overly complicated. It was
I
really
agree. I
simple.
agree.
It was art created
Hmm.
by artists for artists. So it was really
Yeah.
minimal, and I really could grasp my head around it. And then I moved to
Hmm.
Modo.
Uh-oh.
Uh, is your audio going out?
Oh, one of them died. I think my
Okay.
stuff's getting low.
Well, we're getting close to battery time. I'm sure
Uh-oh.
2 hours here.
Uh-oh.
I'm pretty sure. But
Hey,
yeah,
man.
then I moved over to Modo. And I kind of like Modo. And
Oh,
played a
yeah,
lot of,
I'm Moto. I'm a
yeah,
model.
Luxology Modo. So but before his other headphones goes out
I'm,
here, let's close this out. Like I said, I cannot thank you
oh, man.
enough. Uh, Rod, we're definitely going to have you back on. Again, all this information will be in the show notes, so make sure that you jump on over to the show notes to get links to connect with them and everything. But we will
Hmm.
definitely be having Rod back
Oh,
on. But
yeah,
I
man.
can't thank you enough, brother, for coming on. We're gonna have to
Thank you.
meet up and connect. You're just down the road, from me. I'm in Houston, so I
Yeah,
know you're
man.
relatively
Dallas.
close. We'll have to
Yeah, man.
connect for sure.
Let's do it.
If you could hang on for just a second while I close out,
Hmm.
and so I can
Okay.
talk to you afterwards, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
But everybody,
Yeah.
again, please help me thank my friend and guest, Mr. Rod Douglas, for coming on, helping us close out this quarter. And before we, jump on this hiatus here. So thank you, Rod, for like I said, helping us close out this quarter and make another great episode here. Hang out for
Oh,
just a
yeah.
second while I close this
Sure.
out here.
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh man, everybody, it's been another great episode. Like I said, this was, we had to make it great, because this was the last episode before we take a hiatus here. Hopefully, like I said, you enjoyed this as much as I did. Rod's a great guy. Like I said, we had a lot of fun just jib jabbing. We're gonna have to meet in person. Like I said, he's just down the road from me in Dallas. But again, I cannot thank you enough for giving me a little bit of your time today, helping me close out this quarter here, going into quarter 4 of season 3. Wow, man, this year is just going by so fast. Like I said, we're going into holiday season here. I hope everybody has a safe Labor Day weekend if you're planning on traveling. I'm still up in the air. Like I said, it's my birthday Monday, Labor Day, so I may decide to do a little traveling and getting out myself. But if you do plan on getting out, I hope you have a safe holiday. Enjoy your time with family and friends. Uh, like I said, we will be back in a few weeks. In the meantime, I will be playing like little quick episodes here and there. You can always check out other episodes on the channel as well. But we'll be back in a couple of weeks with my next guest. I didn't have her thing. I will be doing ads on it. I just didn't have it for the show. Miss Hannah Florenzano is going to be on when we come back from hiatus. But I will be playing commercials in between time. So, well, like I said, this has been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough for hanging with me and closing it out. This third quarter, going into fourth quarter, going into season 5. Like I said, I got some big things planned for the season and really trying to take the show up to another level, and can't do it without you. So thank you for always being a part of, the show. With that, have, a great, like I said, holiday and a great rest of the week. And you know, be safe. And I will see you, not next week, but I will see you in a couple of weeks. Same bat time, same bat channel. You guys be safe, okay? Have a great one, everybody. Cheers.